Let's pray. Almighty God, who in your wisdom and goodness have appointed the offices of leaders and the legislative assemblies for the welfare of society and just government of the people, we beseech you to build with your abundant favor as your servants, who have been pleased to call to the performance of important trusts in this republic. Let your blessings descend upon us here assembled, and grant that we treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you've committed to our charge. Amen. Good morning, honorable members. I'm being informed by a clerk that we do not have quorum, and so I request our Sanjay Datams to ring the bell for 10 minutes. You may ring the bell for another 5 minutes. Let the sergeant at arms stop now, ringing the bell. I'm told we have quorum. Clerk, we may now proceed. Honorable Brian, please kindly have your seat. Honorable Brian, have your seat. Clerk, proceed.
Order number 1, administration of oath.
Next order.
Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Next order.
Order number 3, messages.
Honorable Brian, we know Honorable Constance is just worked outside. We have quorum. She has already signed with the biometrics outside there.
Mr. Speaker, I'm raising understanding order number 32, which talks about quorum. Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker, when we are talking about quorum, it is not the number of members who have signed in the biometric machine. It is the physical number of members who are in the assembly at that particular time. Mr. Speaker, this being a house of order, Mr. Speaker.
I like that.
Sorry?
Confirm that that's what the standing orders are saying?
Yes, we can confirm. Get me a copy of the standing orders. It is not by biometric, Mr. Speaker. We have been in this house and there has not been a biometric machine. So what happens? The sergeant at arms or the clerk makes a physical count of the members who are inside. And this being a house of order, we should follow the standing orders to the letter. We have no quorum, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, if we are going to allow the House to run without quorums, then the House becomes an illegality. We don't have quorum, and signing in the biometric does not give us right to. And Mr. Speaker, I'm not becoming a blocker in this process. I am just saying people should do the work. I'm happy the majority whip is here. Minority whip is not even there. Even the deputies are not there. It is a high time this House starts doing business as it is supposed to do. We don't have quorum, Mr. Speaker. If you want to rule against us that we have quorum, then, Mr. Speaker, then we'll have no choice but to say that you are going against the standing orders which are governing this House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I think it's the same orders that bar members from walking outside when the bell is being rung. Already we've got 2 members who have walked out. If it means following the orders to the latter, then that needs to be done.
Information, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable
Yes.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I just want to inform the House and the Speaker that the House has quorum. As we talk, we
Clerk,
have
confirm that. Let's proceed, Clerk.
Order number 4, petitions.
Proceed.
Order number 5, papers.
And this one we have Honorable Nicholas Zioka to come and lay the paper.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I wish to lay the following paper on the table of the Assembly today, Tuesday, 9th April 2024. The annual report of the County Public Service Board for the year 2023. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Majority Leader. Clerk, we may proceed.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Next order. Yeah, the paper that was laid has been committed to the Committee on Labor, Public Service and ICT. Proceed.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Proceed.
Order number 7, statements.
Proceed.
Order number 8, motion, approval of report of Public Accounts and Investment Committee on the report of Auditor General on the financial statements of Machakos County Bursary Fund for the year ended 30th June 2022. Continuation of debate interrupted on 12th March 2024 at 12:30 p.m.
Honorable members, now that this motion had been moved, and before I invite members to debate, let me call the let me invite let the mover to take the House through the highlights of the report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm Ruth Wanjiro, standing in for the Chair, Public Accounts and Investments Committee, Honorable Philip Ndolo. I will not read the whole report. I will take you through the highlights, starting with the background information. Honorable Speaker, the audit report on the financial statements of Machakos County Bursary Fund for the year ended 30th June 2022 was received in the Assembly in the 19th April 2023 pursuant to the Article 229, Subarticle 7 of the Constitution that states that audit reports shall be submitted to Parliament or the relevant county assembly. It is good to note that the Auditor General presented the report to the Assembly 4 months late, contrary to the provisions of Section 48, subsection 1 of the Public Audit Act of 2015 that requires the Auditor General to audit and report on accounts audited 6 months after the end of the fiscal year in question. On receipt of the audit report, it was committed to Public Accounts and Investments Committee pursuant to Standing Order number 185, Suborder 2B and C, and the report is a qualified opinion. This means the financial statements present fairly and comply with the Public Finance Management Act of 2012 and the County Governments Act of 2012. The Committee on Public Accounts, while exercising its mandate as provided in Standing Order 185, invited the accounting officer of the Department of Education and conducted interrogation on the audit report on October 2023. This is as per the provisions of Article 226, Subarticle 2 of the Constitution that provides that the accounting officer of a county public entity is accountable to the County Assembly for its financial management. Honorable Speaker, we move to the general observations. Honorable Speaker, after considering the specific queries on discrepancies between the trial balance and the financial statements, unsupported cash and cash equivalents, inadequate bursaries disbursed, and the specific observations under each query, the committee makes the following general observations. Number one, that there was a discrepancy of 2,316,607 between what was captured in the trial balance and the financial statements. This amount presents checks that were issued to beneficiaries but were not presented for payment within 6 months. The committee confirmed reasons why the said checks were not presented for payment as follows. Number one, some checks had errors in the names of the benefiting institutions and which the management did not bother to follow up for replacement. Number two, there were cases of undeserving beneficiaries being issued with checks and who in turn did not bother to submit them to their respective schools, hence denying other deserving students the chance of benefiting from the bursary allocation. Number three, the low allocation of the bursary made some parents reluctant to present the checks for payment, considering that the checks were issued late at a time when the schools had already opened. The low facilitation of the Ward Bursary Committee, which is established under Section 11 of the Machakos County Bursary Fund Regulations of 2019, with requisite materials to enable them administer the process of issuance of checks to the respective institutions. The committee during interrogation time received detailed schedules to support the unpresented checks. However, the same schedules were not presented to the auditor during the audit exercise. That an analysis on how the unpresented checks totaling to 19,269,850 were later cleared was not presented to the auditors, hence it was difficult to establish if the checks were replaced or not and how the said amount was utilized. The budgeted bursary allocation during the financial year in question was low compared to the many bursary applications received, and this led to uniform allocation to the applicants in order to benefit as many applicants as possible. The allocation of uniform amount to all beneficiaries without considering the specific needs of individual applicants made the bursary fund not to fully serve the intended purpose of supporting the vulnerable students. General recommendations. Honorable Speaker, after considering the general observations stated above, the committee makes the following general recommendations. Number one, that in order to prevent checks from being issued to undeserving beneficiaries, the checks should be issued in the various ward centers where the beneficiaries were identified from and be done in an open and transparent manner. Number two, Section 16 of the Machakos County Bursary Regulations of 2019 provides for allowances payable to the Ward Bursary Committee. The department should ensure that the committee is facilitated in an open and transparent manner by transferring their allowances to their respective bank accounts. Number three, that the department, when addressing the checks, should ensure that the institution's names are captured correctly, especially where an institution has changed its name, to avoid errors in the checks. Section 12 of the said regulations provides for the functions of the Ward Bursary Committee. This committee should make a follow-up to confirm if the checks are received in the respective institutions and receive acknowledgement from the school, and also collect receipts for the corresponding checks before expiry of 6 months. That the department should immediately, after issuance of the checks, do a bank reconciliation in order to disclose the unpresented checks and immediately replace them with new checks addressed for the same beneficiary, so that the targeted students benefit from the allocation. That the accounting officer during the time of audit should provide all information required by the auditors pursuant to Section 9, subsection 1E of the Public Audit Act of 2015, that gives the auditor unrestricted access to all required information and books. That within 14 days after approval of this report, the department should forward to the auditors bank reconciliation of 19,269,850 for verification. Further, an analysis of the schedule showing how each of the unpresented checks were later cleared should also be presented to the auditors for verification. H, that the Machakos County Bursary Fund regulations should be amended to introduce systematic annual increase on bursary allocation. This is in consideration of the continued economic hardships being experienced. That the department, in consultation with all other relevant stakeholders, should formulate guidelines with clear categories of various groups of beneficiaries and the amount each category should receive as bursary. That pursuant to the provisions of Section 53, subsection 1 of the Public Audit Act of 2015, the accounting officer should, within 90 days after approval of this report, take the relevant steps to implement the recommendations in this report, or give an explanation in writing to the Assembly why the report is not implemented. Conclusion and acknowledgement. Honorable Speaker, the report on financial statements of Machakos County Bursary Fund for the year ended 30th June 2022 is a qualified opinion. This implies that the report fairly represents the financial position of the county executive in the year in question. It indicates well that if the matters raised by the committee are considered, in addition to proper internal controls, compliance, and observance of disclosure of information, a positive shift in preparation of good financial statements will be realized. Honorable Speaker, the Committee on Public Accounts and Investments is grateful to your office for facilitating this committee to undertake its mandate, the County Executive Committee member, and the Chief Officer Department of Education for honoring committee invitation to respond on queries raised, and also to the Office of the Auditor General for the advisory given to the members of the committee, and also the Secretariat for commitment and effort throughout the process of report writing. Honorable Speaker, it is therefore my privilege and pleasure on behalf of Public Accounts and Investments Committee to table before this Honorable House the report on financial statements of Machakos County Bursary Fund for the year ended 30th June 2022 for discussion and adoption. To whom much is given, much is required. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Wajiro. I now invite members to debate the motion. Honorable Bova.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And also thank you, Vice Chair for PAC, for being so eloquent and putting the report so clearly. Mr. Speaker, I've listened carefully to that report, and being a member of that committee, I concur that it captures the deliberations and the recommendations that were made by the committee. And Mr. Speaker, of great importance is this issue of presented checks. Mr. Speaker, when the government issues bursaries, it issues bursaries to needy students. The bursaries are meant to cushion students who would have otherwise, without that support, missed classes. It defeats logic. Our student who was allocated money for assistance, that check will lie at home for a whole year, only to be discovered it is unrepresented. When we had a thorough look and an in-depth discussion with the executive side of the Department of Education, they also brought up the issue of wrong naming of schools. Mr. Speaker, right now, I don't know what has happened all over. A lot of schools which we knew in their previous names, today they don't exist under those names, especially the ones which are sponsored by religious organization. That school has added another English name of a saint before the name of the school. And some of these names of the saints are not easy to mention. So when the parents go to fill the forms, they cannot even remember the new name. So they refer to the school as they have always known it, not knowing that it will have ramifications. And that is one of the reasons. Mr. Speaker, if today you visit the Department of Education, I happened to be there 2 days ago, the main exercise going on right now, even with the bursaries issued this year, it is the change of names. And members will concur, all members who are issued with the checks, we are now busy receiving back checks to bring back to the department for correction. I've been pondering how to go around this, Mr. Speaker, because I think we must come up with a solution. Otherwise, we will be issuing checks and set another date of receiving them back. Because schools are changing names for whatever known and unknown reasons. Mr. Speaker, I think now maybe the department should keep a database of the most current and updated name of the school. And I don't think it is very hard because it is a government, it is a department, it can liaise with the Ministry of Education and get the updated names so that even when the bursaries are applied, as they write the names, they can themselves confirm which is the right name. Because in this back and forth, Mr. Speaker, some of the students will lose their checks. Some of the deserving students may not end up getting their checks. Mr. Speaker, without belaboring, it has also come to our attention, and honorable members will concur, in as much as we give a lot of weight to secondary school education, Mr. Speaker, we have our vocational training centers. And myself, I've been very passionate with the vocational training centers. Mr. Speaker, I want to liken what we are doing as a government to a parent who cooks food in their house, and there are some children playing outside the compound, and serves the children of neighbors before their children. Secondary schools are under national government. They receive also bursaries and funding from the national government, bursaries from CDF. Our vocational training centers are our own children, and they rarely get informed support from national government. Mr. Speaker, I would implore my colleagues and also the ward bursary committees in considering beneficiaries. Most of these kids who go to vocational training centers come from impoverished backgrounds. It is like a matter of last resort for the parents just to take the child somewhere to get some form of training. Mr. Speaker, it would be prudent that in each financial year, as we allocate budget, because it has proven to be very hard to get capitation for the vocational training centers, I implore my colleagues that we use the avenue of these bursaries and allocate something to our vocational training centers so that we don't give all the money to secondary schools. Because if you look at, if we were to grow Machakos County, even Kenya is saying, buy Kenya, build Kenya. We should also ask ourselves, how much of these millions of money are being plowed back to schools within Machakos County? Because these are resources we are also giving away. My opinion is that in this bursary, there should be a provision that the vocational training centers within a ward get a specified amount of money. And with those many and few remarks, I support the report.
Thank you, Honorable Mbuva. Honorable Lloyd.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to contribute to this motion. Bursaries, when it comes to education, is one pivotal area that touches me, being a beneficiary of this program. It is not really good to have such a report as a unqualified report when bursaries are meant to help the needy. It's something that should be taken as priority as a county, because our people will grow by empowering them. Some of us are here because we are empowered by other people. Bursaries help to address the issue of inequality and social inclusion by providing equal opportunities for all children. Bursaries also provide a lifeline to those students who may otherwise be forced to abandon their dreams due to their financial constraints. There's somewhere the report has mentioned that the bursaries are given evenly. It is that it's when we go to our villages, there are those who can afford a bit and those who cannot afford completely. If you are giving 2,000 or 5,000 equal to all of them, then there are some who will not, even if you give that 3,000 to them, will not help them. So even that bursary was not useful to them. So it's not really good. If I need something need to be worked on those two committees that are mentioned there. Those are very important committees to help in selection of the needy students. And if they are involved in, we know how it goes on the ground. If those one are involved in interfering in the insurance of bursaries, you will find those who will get bursaries are not the needy one, but those who are connected to in the society. Then that's bursary and does not really help the needy. So I'll pray if we are able to prioritize on forming committees, the bursary committees that are not corrupt. We involve the religious, we mix all of them the way it's supposed to be, so that there is no interference and we are helped to help those who are needy and get the bursaries. My constituency, where I come from, when I was at the university, the member of parliament is revered to date because of how you used to issue the bursary, taking the priority to give to the needy. Majority of us who come from his region, a number of them are PhDs and everything through his program of education. He said, empowering our society is through education. I'll give an example how it is. In Meru, it's divided in 3 parts. There is the part in Igembe that has Mira. There is the middle part that doesn't have that kind of growing. Then there is Immense where Kraito comes, that he really empower them in farming. This middle part here is quite a semi-arid area, where Dr. Kilemi Muya came from. A senior education is globally now. He educated people, empowered them, and this is what he told them. You learn, because you do not have farm produce, you do not have the mirror at the other side, go sell education. And that part are shown to the world. If you go to Meru County, most of the elite and the professors come from that region because of that empowerment. I think we can do the same by prioritizing to give the bursary to the right people. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Lloyd. Honorable Constance.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I am Constance Mbulanzioki, nominated by Manuel Chapchap. The issue of bursaries is very important, and I don't know, it's supposed to go to the needy, but that is not the case. Honorable Speaker, I must say I am not a beneficiary, because my times there was nothing called bursary, but I learned through, my mother used to take mains to schools, and they deduct my school fees from there, and that was a big trial in those days. Today we have bursaries to keep the children who are unable to learn, but it's the other way around. Mr. Speaker, we must do something very, very seriously. We are the people who make laws, and we are the people who break those laws. I want to say I sat in Machakos County Bursary Fund for 5 years with the Mheshimiwa Munyaka, and we tried, although we used to give 2,000, which was not taking a child any further. And I stood and asked the whole county to consider, if we have to give a child bursary, give that child bursary from Form 1 to Form 4. Because when that child drops at Form 1 or Form 2, we have lost that money and we have lost that child. What have we done? Will that child recover? So the bursary fund issue is something we need to look at in a very, very serious note. As some of us have said, it is very true. It doesn't help the needy. The needy is 5%, I can assure you. 95% as we move or as we came could be 85, 95, the ones who benefit. And because you'll find teachers get bursaries, chiefs get bursaries. I give you an example, and it's a very bad one. In my village, there was a time, it used to be hanged somewhere on the chief's office, kwa ukuta hapo. And so you go and check whether your child has gotten bursary. And we used to go there, and you look at it, and you find chiefs and masters, you know, those kind of children, and the needy ones don't get. Let me tell you the truth of the matter. Those ones for the chiefs and teachers went nuts after school. Some of them are collecting papers in the villages now. And the poor ones got jobs, and they're a bit comfortable. So I'm pleading with you members, when we are distributing bursaries, let us do the needy. Let us do the best way we can, and we shall move our Machakos County further. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Constance. Honorable Anastasia, then Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mutevu Anastasia, special elect by the Wiper Democratic Movement. And I want to give my input on the bursary insurance in cases where a school has benefited more than one student has been issued a check. My take is these bursaries should be taken to schools to avoid mishandling of checks, because we've got so many instances that when a parent is given, they get lost on the way, that most of the students are not benefiting. And just to add on what Honorable Lloyd has given on the flat rate of issuance of bursaries, I think we should come up with a good strategy on identifying the needy students, not giving all these students on a flat rate of 3,000, on a flat rate of 3,500. These students have special needs and special cases. So I think these committee bursaries, they should come up with a good strategy of identifying the very needy students based on their needs. So thank you so much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Anastasia. Honorable Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. My name is Judas Dawa, representing the great people of Matu. Honorable Speaker, before I make my contribution, we have a visitor in the gallery, and it's a normal practice when we have visitors in the gallery, we are informed who they are, so that we can be sure that we are secure. So I would request that you tell us who the visitor is, so that we can be able to continue doing our work.
Thank you. Honorable Member, I think maybe you can proceed. He's just a member of public who came to follow the proceedings, and he has followed all the procedures required. So you may proceed.
Very much, Mr. Speaker. Let me take this opportunity, because the visitor has not been invited or has not been welcomed. Let me take this opportunity to welcome you to this house, Machakos County Assembly, and feel that you are in the right place. Honorable Speaker, coming back to the business before the House, the report we are debating here is a report which most of the members here were not in this House. Honorable Speaker, is only Honorable Dominic, Honorable Caro, Honorable Anastasia, no, Constance, myself, Brian Gizila, and yourself who were there, because this is a report of the year ended 30th June 2022. And you remember very well, during that time, that is when the politics were at the climax. Honorable Speaker, I want to confirm that the report, which is before the House, is a true reflection of what transpired at that time. Honorable Speaker, when the beneficiaries were identified at the ward level, the names were forwarded to the department. The checks were written. Honorable Speaker, instead of doing what we are doing today, we work together so that we can make sure the checks reaches the intended destination or the target. Honorable Speaker, the checks were brought to the wards by the then Finance Minister. And when they were brought, there was no time for members of the County Assembly to verify whether the checks contained the total amount. Like in my case, Honorable Speaker, the checks were brought at a place known as Matu Vision Center. And most of my schools, which had already been identified to get checks, starting with the Kwamatu Primary School, Kwamatu Secondary School, the check was missing. St. Peter's, in the Kedin, the check was missing. A school in Kedimane Ward, Kambiandeke Primary School, I had identified some beneficiaries from my school who are in that school to benefit. The check was missing. We tried our level best to ensure that the checks were brought back. Up to date, we never managed. So I can confirm if other wards and the similar issues, that is why we can see a discrepancy of 2,100,000 plus. And Honorable Speaker, this is not little money. I want to thank the current department, because the way we distributed the checks last time, every elected member of county assembly had an opportunity to get the checks, verify, confirm whether there is any check missing, and if there is any, replacement was done. So, Honorable Speaker, us as elected members of county assembly or the representative of the people, we also have a duty and obligation to ensure that if we are giving out 3 million per ward, as member representing my two people, it is my duty to ensure that the checks brought to my two ward amount to 3 million. And I want to commend the department. The last checks I got from the county government of Machakos, I sat down with my PA here, with a computer and myself with a calculator. And we started from check number 1 to the last check. It was exactly 3 million. It was, there is no single cent, either less or more. It was exactly 3 million. And I want to commend the department. And I think that is the way we should go. And I'm encouraging other members. Yes, that is exactly what I found. 3 million. So, it is upon us as members. There is a saying in English which says, a change needed in a grandson has to begin with the grandfather and the grandmother, coming downwards. So if we want other people to toe the line, let us be the first to toe that line. Machakos County Assembly is the highest decision-making organ of this county. And if we cannot do what is expected of us, then we don't expect other departments to do that. So, Honorable Speaker, I agree with the report and request that in the future, let us not have a repeat of what happened that time. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Minority Leader, Honorable Brian, then Honorable Ndwiki.
Mr. Speaker, I think this report obviously is an old report, but it's bringing some key issues which we need to look at. And Mr. Speaker, the biggest challenge we have is the way I've had members complaining that there are some undeserving members who get bursaries. It honestly depends on the ward, because the best process of awarding bursary is through public participation. And in those public participation, the parameters of awarding bursary and the laws of bursary awarding are very clear, including who gets. Once you have that criteria well spelled out in the wards, it's very easy for you to identify the needy students and ensure that the needy students get the checks. Mr. Speaker, this time around, I think we were all here, and obviously we did the right job, but at the end, the previous government missed the point on the final issuance or the way the checks were issued. But moving forward, I think what is important is we need to ensure that we take charge of bursary process. And the best way is to have a very competent bursary committee. And the bursary committee is very well spelled out. And if you have a good bursary committee, you will never have these challenges. Because even the schools which the beneficiaries are supposed to be given bursaries, they counter-check the schools, including the code of the school. So you cannot have back and forth if the committee knows their work. Number two, it is please let members understand, it is a requirement when you get checks, they are supposed to be taken to the schools and receipts are issued, and through our offices, we are supposed to forward back those receipts to the county office. I'm very proud to say, Mr. Speaker, that I'm one of the practitioners of that practice. And all my checks, even in the last issues of checks, all the receipts, I accounted for them up to the last check. That's the only way you can ensure that your people have gotten the check. The minute you give people checks, even some can even go and change the names of the students. So the law is very clear. When you get the checks, you are supposed to ensure that they are accounted for. And our peers take that bunch of the receipts and they are supposed to bring them back to the office here. Mr. Speaker, my last point is on, and that's where now we need to debate. The governor has allowed us to be taking the checks ourselves. I'm not saying that some of us have not been doing the right job, but when people start driving around with checks in their cars, you end up finding that some checks are actually not submitted to the recipients of the schools. So it's upon us as members. I don't know if the law allows us to be given those checks, but the bursary committee, in fact in my ward, once I get the checks, I take them back to the bursary committee. The bursary committee is the one which ensures those checks are given to the respective institutions. So, Mr. Speaker, I think the report is good, but it is of the old regime. But this time around, I must commend the department. The Department of Education did a fantastic job on the last 2 bursaries which we've been able to give, and they have done a fantastic job. So it's upon us to ensure that we follow the law and follow the procedure. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Brian. Honorable Ntwiki, then Honorable Engineer Mwoki.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Daniel Driki, representing the people of Mlolongo Syokimau. I stand here to support this report, Mr. Speaker, and maybe hand something on the way of distribution of the checks and the control of the whole exercise. Mr. Speaker, as we all know that we have the bursary committee that is entitled to identify and distribute the checks to the needy students. But at the times, the bursary committee should be very much competitive, because at times we have interference from external powers, that is including ourselves, the MCS, including the members of the administrations, and the friends of the MCA, the friends of the government. So we have those reports that some people try to come and interview the committee. So it's the right of the committee to stand firm and distribute the checks to the needy students. Like in my place, Mr. Speaker, it's very hard to identify the needy students in urban areas, because, Mr. Speaker, everyone who comes from bursary, they claim that you can't go for a bursary when you are not needy. So the degree of how needy, especially in urban areas, I propose that we should put some structures to see how we can identify the needy students. Because, Mr. Speaker, at the times, everyone comes for the checks, claims that I can't come for a check when I'm not needy. So the degree to identify how needy is this, I think that need to be checked. The other thing, Mr. Speaker, is about the dynamic in some of those areas. You may issue a check and the student gets transferred. The student applied a check while in this school, but during the time of issuance, the student has been transferred to another school. We have had those cases. So it's good that as the education committee or the relevant department check on those factors. Because in my area, I handle almost 2 cases of a student applied in this school, but during the time of issuance. So, Mr. Speaker, it's also good that we check on the time of applying and the time of issuance. It should be a short time to ensure that such changes have not happened, because we have experienced that issue of sparing, that is okay, we have seen them, but this time they were minimum. So I want to thank and I want to congratulate the department for good work, well done, and we expect it to continue like that. So as I finish, Mr. Speaker, I also wish to comment about the amount to be issued. Because if, for example, in my place, we end over 2,000 applicants with beneficiaries of about 600. So, Mr. Speaker, you see the number that benefits is less than the number that applied. So, it's good also we empower the committee to determine, because Mr. Speaker, I received a delegation in my office, and they were suggesting to me that let every applicant get a check. If we have the 3 million applicants, 3,000, let every child get 1,000, so that everyone benefits. Because, Mr. Speaker, even if we deny this fact, the issuance of checks have become political, Mr. Speaker. And as you know, at the end of the time, it will be political. We applied and we did not get. In this, we need to manage also that factor. So I suggest that the checks be issued to all applicants. Whatever the number, it's been divided to the amount, give all the applicants so that everybody feels that I have received a check. And with that, I commend the department and I support the report and work well done. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Ndriki. Honorable Mwoki.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to contribute to this worthy report. My name is Mwokiwa Musela, MCA, Ndidine and the new sub-county. I'm so proud and happy today that I'm told my sub-county office is being cited, or the laying of the foundation is ongoing as I'm speaking. Thanks, and I congratulate and say thank you to Madam Governor for giving us that opportunity to have a sub-county. Thank you. I'm a member of the PAC, and I'm proud to see this report of ours with a qualified opinion that the report that was done is very good. And I've listened to different contributors, Mr. Speaker, and I say exactly what they have said is the right thing, and I'm happy for that, and I don't want to repeat it. Only one thing that I would want to say, that particularly pertains to the committees on the ground. Their remuneration, that is where we are having a problem today, because unless other places are being remunerated differently, in my place they were being given 2,000 for the whole exercise. And this is an exercise that took quite a time, a long time. And even in a place like mine where we have no office, we have no computers, we had to go to the cybers to do everything that was to be typed, typing the names and the like. It is me who was paying for that. So what I'm trying to say is, if this committee is, I think, 6 people, can be given good remuneration for the compilation of all the information that is needed, and even bringing back the receipts, or even taking the checks to the respective schools, then we would even be doing a much better job than we are doing today. But I'm happy to say that according to the pioneers of the bursaries, they are saying this time round is more improved than 2022. And I wish everyone who is going to be part of these bursaries every bit of success in it, because it is changing the lives of our people. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Mwoki. Honorable Katiti.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First, I want to thank the committee for the input and the good report that they have given us. I'm Boniface Chalo Katiti from the Then Ward. I have some submission that I should also make according to the report. One, it is of great importance that for the people that came up with the issue of assisting the children, the needy children, that was an initiative that was started by the late Mwai Kibaki, because he saw there was a need for a country to develop in terms of education, so that the students that are in need can also access education, and the quality education that is also being accessed by the other students from the wealth families. My question is, as we dispense this issue of bursary issuing, the committee, the bursary committee, the amount that they are given as interest is very low. It's too little, because the maximum that they get is 1,000 per allowance per person. Yet we are giving 3% of the amount that is issued. That is being issued in terms of bursary. For example, the last dispensation that we had, we were giving 3 million. So 3% of that amount was equivalent to 90,000. So let us take care of those people that are the bursary committee that is being informed when it addresses that issue of bursary issuing. The report that we are talking about is of 2022, June. The period that was being, the bursaries were being issued, the country was in a political mood, and everybody was either seeking the election or seeking being elected. So by that time, I would encourage my request. I should encourage the new regime that we have now, like it has done today this year, that we give the latest time that we can give issue of bursaries to children. Then it should be latest the first term of the year. So the other thing, when it is said, when you want to kill a forest, then get rid of the seed. It is paramount for us as a country to look for the importance of the kids, the education of the kids that benefit with the bursaries. So many people, even the wealthy ones, come and they seduce the people who are issuing the bursaries. And eventually, they get awarded with those bursaries. So I would encourage the people that are selected, those need children, that they should be vigilant, and they should it should be an open forum for them to identify the needy children. And once they are identified, then there should be no change of names before they come to the department for verification. So my submission is that one, and I would encourage and I would support the report that the committee has done. Still, there is a issue of there was a recommendation that the committee has done, that we may have the incremental rate annually. And I want to applaud the current county government because it has done so. So thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Katiti. Honorable Justice, then Honorable Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. I am Justice Molo Mutuku, Member of County Assembly, Wamonyo Ward. I want to thank the committee first, Mr. Speaker, for giving us a very profound report to this House. I know, as the member, the vice chair of this committee, when she was reading the report, that she said a trial balance was a challenge. And I want to affirm, Mr. Speaker, that no balancing of a trial balance without the presentation of these checks, which were unpresented. And indeed, I want to connect with my colleagues as an accountant, that those checks, unless they are brought to the department, those who are not represented, the trial balance cannot balance. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, it is upon this House, honorable members, that we make sure these checks, when they are given and distributed to the respective schools, they are received in those schools, and the receipts are issued. Because a trial balance will lead to a balance sheet, Mr. Speaker. And without a balance sheet, without a general, will account the county not effective. And the report from the Attorney General will come out that there are some monies which has been misappropriated in the account. Mr. Speaker, that was an alight to shed as a serving accountant for 17 years in a secondary school. Mr. Speaker, the Constitution is very clear that the county government tackles the ECD and the TVETs. My appeal to the Committee of Bursary, Mr. Speaker, is that when we find as pupil, as student, who is in a TVET and is in need of a bursary, let others be held constant, Mr. Speaker. And if a village has got 4 students who are supposed to go to a polytechnic or in a TVET, vocational training centers, Mr. Speaker, because that is our role, Mheshimiwa Mbuva went in depth to give light on that our pupils, our students in those TVETs, some never got bursaries. And Mr. Speaker, in this point, I want to thank my sister, Mheshimiwa Jackie, who stood with me and made sure that one pupil from Katangi Polytechnic, who is from my ward, got a bursary. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. And that is the brotherhood and the sisterhood which should be portrayed in this House. So mine was to make sure and ask my colleagues, or members in this House, that when we execute our duties and in issuance of these bursaries, then some hiccups will not arise. Mr. Brian Kesila, who is my brother and a good neighbor. Honorable member, sorry, Mr. Speaker, I withdraw. And I apologize. Mr. Speaker,
proceed.
Honorable Brian Kesila, who is my neighbor and a good brother, alluded that we should be present when this exercise is going on. And Mr. Speaker, only 3 checks in my ward that I took them back to the department to change names. And Mr. Speaker, it is just the name, the word saint, which one of the honorable members alluded here in this House. So when you involve yourself fully in this exercise, then some of the hiccups that we are hearing will be minimal. So, Mr. Speaker, thank you so much for giving this time, and I am happy. Because of the exercise that has gone in my ward, it is not like a minority leader, minority leader, who said that 3 million. Mine was 2.2, Mr. Speaker. And I went one by one. Mr. Speaker, that is my duty as an elected member. And as an accountant, Mr. Speaker, I never skipped one. I went one by one. And I made sure that those bursaries, they correspond. What I have corresponds on what is in the record. So, Mr. Speaker, thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Justice. Honorable Majority Leader.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I love the passion of Mheshimiwa Justice Mutuku. Mr. Speaker, I only have 2 points to state. One, out of this report, even though Mheshimiwa Minority Leader says we were not there, I think it is on the basis of such reports that institutions are able to improve and grow. So the Auditor General has scrutinized and saw that we were able to spend the bursary monies well, even though there were challenges, what Mheshimiwa Kasanga is calling hiccups. And I hope we learn from these hiccups and challenges and make an improvement going forward. And my plea to the honorable members is, if the Auditor General, who has the mandate to scrutinize public finances, have qualified report on the issue of bursary issuance, is we minimize the politics behind the bursary issuance. If we can speak with one voice, whatever the amount that we agree on doesn't matter. It matters that how we distribute the bursary. I know the last time we had issue of bursary, there was contention. Some people said it was 700. Some people said it was 2.2. Some people say it's 3 million. How I pray next time, and I pray that we'll have more money, we will have more money for the bursaries. How I pray that we reduce the politics. I also want to remind honorable members that as much as people knock to your door asking for bursaries, they also knock at the door of Her Excellency the Governor. We need also to take into considerations that she went out there, looked for votes. She's also a politician, and people will approach her asking for assistance to pay school fees. So we allow her a little bit of breathing so that she's able also to support the people. Mheshimiwa Mbova, I want to tell you the good news. In the supplementary budget 2 that is upcoming, we have factored in capitation for Youth Polytechnic, 35 million, and TVET at 25 million. So I hope, honorable members, when the time to pass the supplementary budget comes, we'll be able to pass, you'll be able to see it, and we are going to pass it so that to enable us, the beneficiary, the pupils at that level, to access the support that they require. Otherwise, I want to commend the Vice Chair and her committee. The report was very good. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Majority Leader. I now invite the mover to come and forward and reply.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The bursaries are a very emotive issue because it is felt that it is one way that we directly impact the citizens. But I would like to plead with the members, if you ever get an opportunity to present the names or something to play a part in the issuance of bursaries, use your heart. We've heard about the issue of need. It is true that there are members who are members of the society or community that will approach you because you are a member of the county assembly. It is a perception that everybody is entitled to part of the county goodies. They take it as part of county goodies. Some of them are not deserving. I have a personal experience whereby my neighbor approached me to give her child bursary, and I asked her if she really needed that bursary. She told me, there's no other way, I'm going to have a share of the county goodies. And I told her expressly that I will not give you the bursary because you do not need it. If there is ever some kind of goodies, maybe the seeds or something that I feel you need, I will give it to you. But for now, I will not give it to you. Nowadays, she does not talk to me. But I am very okay with that because as we always finish these reports of the Public Accounts Committee, we say that to whom much is given, much is expected. Please let us sow seeds of goodness so that we can be able to change the cycle of poverty, empower even 2 or 3 people that you can empower, and you will reap in due season. Thank you, honorable members.
Thank you, Honorable Ruth. I now put the question that this Honorable House adopts the report on Public Accounts and Investment Committee on the report of Auditor General on the financial statements of Machakos County Bursary Fund for the year ended 30th June 2022. As many as have that opinion say yes. As many have the contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you, honorable members. I would want to say that according to the exercise that we had lastly, compared to what we had in 2021, 2022, we've made a milestone, and I want to believe, according to what you've said here, we all need to identify the needy students. It is a good exercise if well followed, using our ward committees that I believe are in our wards. And to me, if I may talk about my ward, we've been working on that. We've been identifying these students using our ward villages. Like, for example, in my ward, I've got 132 villages. So we call the residents as per their villages. They themselves identify the most needy students in their village, that small village. They identify even if they are 3 or 4. And so at the end of the day, you will never walk to any of your villages and find that there is no student who got something from the county government. And that way, I believe if we do that way, we'll have all our members of public having have gotten this county cake. Thank you, honorable members, and the House adjourns. Now the House adjourns to Tuesday, 9th April 2024 at 2:30 p.m. Thank you, honorable members.